Hello, Pittsburgh. I'm Zach Gibson, and this is TribLive's From the Newsroom podcast, bringing you top stories from TribLive.com. This Sunday, May 4th, Pittsburgh is set in motion with the annual Pittsburgh Marathon. Since it was first held in 1985, the event, which includes a marathon, half marathon, marathon relay, and 5K races, runs through the heart of the city and crosses all three of the Steel City's iconic rivers. Here at TribLive, distance running has become a common interest among team members Megan Swift and Quincey Reese, who have been training to run the half marathon race. They're here today with more info on the weekend event and their training experience.
All right, so this weekend is the Pittsburgh Marathon. There are multiple races happening both on Saturday and Sunday. We have the marathon itself starting at 7 a.m. on Sunday, as well as the first half of the half marathon starting at 7 a.m. And then the back half starts at 9 a.m. on Sunday. And there are other races as well, like the 5K. There's a kids marathon. There's a lot going on. And there are going to be a lot of runners out this weekend.
Both myself and Megan are both doing the half marathon this year. And Megan, you in particular are doing the back half of the marathon course, which is super cool. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that is and who runs the back half of the marathon course?
The back half marathon is run for a reason. You pick a charity and you raise money to support that charity. And so all of the runners in the back half marathon are running for charity. And they capped the race at 1,000 runners apparently this year, which is very interesting. And it'll make for a little bit of a less chaotic start at 9 a.m. Sunday, I think, instead of having to go all the way downtown and start with like the full marathoners and everything. So I've been raising money for the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation in Pittsburgh, so that's been exciting.
Why did you select that charity? Why did you want to raise money for them?
About 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it's definitely a very interesting experience because it's not something you see from the outside. It's like more of an internal disease, obviously, and so I wanted to pick that charity not only because I've gone through that experience, but also because my brother has had some very severe health issues over the past 4 or 5 years now. So I really wanted to support that charity and run for him and run for everyone else who has been experiencing those diseases.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you want to talk about your experience with running half marathons? And you've also done a full marathon in the past as well. So maybe you could talk about what you're excited for this weekend and just like your experience in general.
Yeah, for sure. So I have been running long distances since high school. So for almost a decade now, I ran cross country in high school and did club cross country in college, and that was kind of what introduced me to the half marathon scene. I was trying to think yesterday. I think at this point I've done 7 half marathons. The first 2 were during COVID, so they were both like virtual, and I was pretty much just by myself, which is a less than ideal way to to run a half marathon. And I ran my first marathon in Cleveland in 2023, which was also a great experience. But my first time running the Pittsburgh half marathon was last year. I had a great time, so I decided to come back and do it again.
That's awesome. Yeah. So as you listeners have probably gathered, we have both been talking about this marathon a lot together, and just like we've trained some together a little bit. Obviously I can't keep up with Quincey as much as I would like to, but I'm excited for the race nonetheless. Last year, actually, ended up walking with some of our other coworkers at the Trib. We walked to the half marathon in the walking division, which was a very interesting experience. So that's how I sort of got to this point this year of running it. I have never been a long distance runner. I used to like swear that I hated running, and I actually kind of enjoy it now, which is kind of fun. I was on track for a year or two in middle school, and I did like the sprints. I stayed away from the long distance anything. So this is a very interesting experience. But last year we walked it, and that was a tough experience, just walking it. And I think we went into the weekend being like, oh yeah, like walking 13 miles, it's like spending a day at Disney World or something. You walk 13 to 15 miles, Disney World at least probably in like a day or two in the parks. But no, it was harder than it looks. So this weekend should be interesting for sure.
Both the half marathon and marathon courses, unless you're doing the back half, they start in the same time and place. So they'll both start downtown Pittsburgh, 7 a.m. Then you'll travel over to the Strip District, North Shore, West End, Station Square, South Side. And after South Side, after crossing over the Birmingham Bridge, that's where the half and marathon courses split off. So marathon will go on up into Oakland, Shadyside, Point Breeze, East Liberty, Bloomfield, Polish Hill, and back downtown. But us half marathoners will just get to go back downtown and finish out the race. The energy on race day is really one of the greatest race environments I've been a part of in my running journey. And so many people come out and just line the streets and have fun signs and weird snacks or drinks to hand out to the runners to keep them going throughout the race. So it's just really cool to see the city kind of come together around this big weekend of being outside, doing something big on your own 2 feet. So it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. The neighborhoods thing was a big deciding factor in like affirming my decision to do the charity back half, because it goes through, as you said, like Shadyside and up through Oakland, Bloomfield, all over there. And that's where I've been training for it, which is a good segue into talking about how we've been training. But yeah, that's been like the majority of my runs been over where I live near Bakery Square and Point Breeze and stuff. So I'm literally gonna be running past my house. So I think that'll be good in terms of like not having as many nerves, because I've been running on those streets. So I think, at least for my experience, the back half will hopefully be better than running in like the territory I haven't run in before. So
how have you kind of gone from someone who you said maybe didn't think the most fondly of running to preparing yourself to run 13 miles? What has your process been like?
Well, this is a very interesting question, because when I worked in the Greensburg office with Quincey, we would always joke. I was like, oh yeah, like I should go and run with you, LOL. And then we did eventually, and now I like running. Not necessarily like as many miles as I would have liked to, I think, train before the marathon, but I think at least right now I feel as prepared as I could feel at this moment. I am pretty comfortable running like 6 miles. I wanted to get up to 10 before the 13.1, but just because of my health issues with Crohn's and everything, I think that made the training a lot more difficult than I was expecting. I have been active in other areas of my life. I used to play varsity tennis and dance. Those are my main 2 sports. I used to being active and stuff, but I think now with like my journey with Crohn's disease, I think some days when you're hoping to train, you're like, okay, wait, maybe I can't train anymore. You're not feeling as good as you would like to, and you can't really make the mileage that you would set out for. So I think given the circumstances, I'm happy with where I was able to get with the training. And I think that just like the vibes of the race, and like they say, the run for a reason, charity, I think running for that reason, I think that will be able to get me through. Plus we walked it last year, so if all else fails, I will walk the second half of it. That was definitely the toughest part of the training process, but it's been fun. I've gotten to explore different geographic areas and like trails and stuff, and gotten to get outside after work, which is like sometimes hard to do when you work typical like 9 to 5 or whatever, and the days are shorter, especially in the winter. So yeah, how has the training process been for you? I mean, this is, you said your 7th, so there's probably a pretty nice procedure that you follow.
Yeah, so for me, I feel like this time around has been just kind of focusing more on, I guess, increasing my mileage, less on doing super speedy workouts or anything like that. Like when I was in college, I had a whole team of people to run and train with, and that was like half the joy of it for me, was having other people to kind of push me. And at this stage in life, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do a tempo workout by myself in the darkness at a local high school track, because it's the winter and it gets dark at 4 p.m. So yeah, I've kind of more been focusing on just like increasing the mileage and making sure that I can kind of nail the long runs of the training cycle, I guess. So I think it was the first weekend in March, that's when I started kind of intentionally doing long runs on the weekends. And I started out, I think, with like a 7-mile run or something like that, and worked my way up through the past couple months to running 12 miles. That was my longest long run, which I would like to preface and say, if I will tell anyone who is running a half marathon for the first time, you don't need to run 12 miles before to be able to do it. Like, if you can comfortably run 10 miles and like feel okay with that, I think that's more of the advice I would give. Yeah, so I don't really know why I did that. I just like just kind of wanted to. I just enjoy kind of having that time to myself on a Saturday morning to go out and do the thing that I love the most. So yeah, that was kind of like the bulk of my training plan, I guess, if you could even call it that. There were some times for a couple of the long runs I threw in just like very minor pieces of speed just to, like, I don't know, give me peace of mind or something. So it would just be maybe for like the middle 3 miles of a long run, I would just like increase my pace a little bit, or do like off and on intervals of picking up my speed for 2 minutes, running normally for 2 minutes, something like that. So yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy, but it's been a positive training experience overall. I have really enjoyed kind of getting back into the long runs again. But there were definitely days where I actually recorded little voice memos before each long run so I could like look back at them after. Haven't done that yet, but I do remember several where I was like, man, I don't really want to do this today. Like, I'm going to be running for more than an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm tired and want to go back to bed. But for the most part, I found that like when I get myself out the door, put the shoes on, actually get started, it ends up being more of a joy than a burden, for sure.
Yeah. What do you listen to when you run?
Oh, that's a great question. So if I'm running with another person, like when we run together, obviously I never listen to music because I like to chat whenever I'm running if I can. But if it's just me, there's only so much of my own thoughts that I can handle. So I will often listen to like a podcast, shameless plug, listen to it from the Newsroom while I'm running. Yeah. Not even joking. This is so for real. And sometimes another podcast that I like, it's called The Real Stuff Podcast. I'm a big fan of that one. And then in terms of music, I feel like I used to, when I would run, I used to listen to like Linkin Park, 3 Days Grace, Five Finger Death Punch. Like I need to be like hyped, but now I'm like, I need to just be at peace. I need to be calm when I'm running. So kind of just whatever I'm feeling. Like sometimes it's Taylor Swift, Noah Kahan, Zach Bryan, anything like rock alternative is kind of my vibe these days.
Cool. Yeah, I think the music is an interesting question because I've run into this weird thing where like I am very attuned to the tempo of the music, and if it's like a little bit off from the pace that I'm running, that like really bothers me. And I assume that probably comes from like my music background and stuff. Like I just like really like tuned into that. So I've tried to find like some songs that are like a little bit faster than the pace that I want to run, so it kind of pushes me a little bit, but also it doesn't like bother my brain while I'm running. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's been like my strategy, I guess. I don't know. I need to listen to like hype up music. I don't think I've gotten to the point where I can listen to like slower stuff. I need the hype music to get me through. But yeah, so that's the music. And then in terms of like snacks, I don't really think I'm gonna eat too much during the marathon on Sunday. I got these little like Gatorade chews that I'm gonna eat because actually a lot of the like gel things that they pass out in the race I can't eat because there's like nut-based stuff in it, and I have nut allergies. So I like was thinking about that because I knew I needed to plan ahead because I remembered they were like handing out this stuff last year, and I was like, oh shoot, like I don't know if I can eat this. And I can't like not eat anything during the 13 miles because that would not end well. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking for food.
Yeah, no, that's smart. It's good to have something on you too, because you never know. Like they do have the aid stations pretty frequently,
right?
But who knows if you're gonna want something when you're 2 miles out from an aid station and you're really in need of some fuel. For me, I typically in the past I haven't really had any fuel during the race.
Okay.
I'm 50-50 on this. Like, I've heard from plenty of people that they don't eat anything and they're like fine, and other people who are like, oh no, I need something like at least halfway through to kind of keep me going. So in the past, I've found that I've been okay without having anything. If I'm really needing it, I'll definitely stop and have some water. Sometimes they have like Gatorade or something like that. There is a small possibility that I throw some like fruit snacks in my little running belt, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but if I'm feeling it halfway through, I'll break out the fruit snacks.
Nice. Yeah, that's why I like the Gatorade chews, because they're like little fruit snack things.
Yeah, it feels more like food than a gel, where you're just like,
right. Oh,
I don't know. I've never actually tried gels, so I can't.
Oh, okay.
I can't judge too hard, but I just don't like the idea.
Yeah.
They seem like kind of nasty to me.
No, I agree. I just see all the running influencers on Instagram and like TikTok being like, okay, eating my first gel. And I'm like, what are you doing? What is happening?
Yeah.
This is the start of our running influencing journey, this podcast.
Yeah, I think so. We're going to make it.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess if somebody is listening to this and wants to get into running, advice you would give to them, I would say for me, it's like, just like try it. I think last summer is when I started actually running. I would say it was like July or August, maybe end of August. And truly, I could not make it a half mile without having to stop. I was like, literally thought I like was losing my breath and everything. Like it was hard on my like lungs and like heart and stuff. And I think like that was a part of training I was not expecting as much, because at that point like my legs could carry me farther than like half mile, but I hadn't like trained that like breathing part of it. So but yeah, I went from that like not being able to run a half mile without like feeling like I was gonna keel over to being able to run 6. And yeah, that is only like half of the 13, but it's still like something. And that was really in like 8 or 9 months. So I think honestly anyone can really do it if they put their mind to it. And I covered the marathon last year for the Trib, and I got to hear some really incredible stories from people who also had gone from never running in their lives or wanted to run to lose weight and like couldn't even run 3 or 4 minutes consistently, and then saw change the more that they did it. So I think anyone can do it, honestly.
I was gonna say, I mean, that is huge progress to make in just a couple months. That's amazing. And I think the hardest part, to your point, the hardest part with starting to run is, or at least for me, was just that I didn't know what sort of discomfort was normal. I was like, does everyone feel like this bad? Because it does feel worse when you start. Like your lungs, I think, are more strained. Your legs maybe aren't used to that sort of impact or movement. So it's really just about, I know everyone probably says this, but it gets easier the more that you do it, and the more that you run, the better that it will start to feel over time. But I also always say, like, start small. There's no reason to start out running double-digit miles. Start with whatever feels comfortable, whatever you can manage at a given time, and walk if you need to. Throw in like walking intervals.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to do that. So
yeah,
on Sunday,
it's a good method. A lot of people like the run walk run method. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
I have a question for you as like a more seasoned runner. I think like a lot of discourse I've seen online, since I now am on the running side of like social media, people are like, oh, does it count if you're walking? You know what I mean? Like if people are doing these run walks, like it's not a true marathon or whatever. And I want to get your take on that.
Yeah, that is a ridiculous statement. Like, yes, it counts. You're covering the miles on your own 2 feet. You're getting it done. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter how fast you're doing it. It doesn't matter if you have to walk a little bit. I mean, you look at the ultra running scene too, and obviously that's a whole other animal. But in ultra running, walking is like standard practice. If you don't walk, like you're not going to finish that race most likely. Yeah. So a lot of them will walk the bigger climbs or kind of calculate when to walk to kind of conserve energy while still keeping themselves moving forward. So in my opinion, that the idea that walking makes it not a true race, that's stupid and should be left in the past. Yeah, I agree for sure, wholeheartedly. And yeah, let's finally just talk about what our plans are for like day of the race.
I would say for me, since I live close to the start line of the back half marathon, it starts in Shadyside, I think on Ellsworth Avenue. I am planning on just walking over to the start line. I was talking to my family and they were like, that would be such a great like warm up for you. Just walking over. I think it's only like a mile and like 1.3 miles or something. So yeah, I'm gonna walk over to the start and chill, and then there's only 1,000 of us starting at 9, so hopefully it won't be that crowded. It'll be more of like a chill start, and then that's like my plan for that. I don't know anyone else running the back half marathon, so it'll just be like me on the course, but my roommates are planning on being out at like around Fifth Avenue, so I'll get to see them, which will be nice. And then I have a few other friends later on toward the Strip District who will be out, and hopefully I'll get to see Quincey as well. So yeah, it'll be just me running back there, but then we'll get to see everybody at the finish line down at Point Park, which will be fun. I am most looking forward to eating an Eaton Park Smiley cookie, and this is not an advertisement for Eaton Park. I just really love those cookies, and that was the only thing I could stomach after walking it last year, so I assume it'll be the same case this year for running.
Yeah, no, I think that was, if my memory serves me correctly, that was probably the best snack that they had.
Yeah.
They have a nice selection, but I'm just looking for something light. But yeah, I have a similar sort of plan, I guess, nothing crazy. I'm thankfully my boyfriend's brother is letting us stay at his apartment downtown, which is super nice of him. So I will just be able to kind of get up and walk out the door and kind of be in the, or not too far from the corrals. It's pretty crowded down there.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it, this is across the whole weekend, but there's, I think, more than 46,000 people that are going to be running all of the races throughout the marathon weekend. And I think a bulk of those are running the half and full marathon. So they kind of separate you out into different corrals. So it starts with like the elite runners, and then just kind of, I guess, categorizes everyone else based on their estimated finish time. So yeah, I'm just gonna wake up probably at like 5:30, give myself enough time for my food to digest, and then do a small semblance of a warm up before heading over and getting into the corral for the start.
Yeah. In terms of like timing, are you aiming for a certain time or?
Yeah, so I ran the half in about an hour and 42 minutes last year, and I would love to at least do something around that again. I mean, if I could run faster, that would be great, but
yeah,
mostly, honestly, I feel like the goal of this training cycle and race has just been to really appreciate how great of a gift running has been in my life. I mean, it's something that has brought me so much joy. It's taught me so much about myself and connected me to some of my very closest friends. And it really feels like a gift that I've been given, not only to be able to do it, but to enjoy it even when it's painful and kind of sucks. So really, that's kind of where my mindset is going to be, just on when it gets hard, reminding myself, this is a gift. You're blessed to be able to even feel this discomfort in the first place, and to choose to kind of feel this discomfort. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I really have absolutely no idea how it's going to go.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point I should have a better idea, but
yeah,
I'm always surprised.
That's fair. This means, because Quincey starts at 7 and mine starts at 9, so if that holds, then she will be done before my race starts, so then Quincey can maybe watch me a little bit.
Hobble over to the best of my ability and find you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, for me, I would love to get under 3 hours. I was calculating it, and in order to run 3-hour half marathon, it's like you have to be under 13 minutes and 44 seconds for each mile, and I usually run at like between 11 and 12:30 would be like my typical mile if I'm like really feeling good. So I'm hoping that I can like hold that pace for a good portion of the race at least, and then be able to make or have some of that extra time to make up for the second half of the race to make it under 3 hours. But it all depends also, I feel like, on the weather, because if it's really hot out, that will definitely affect like the Crohn's stuff. So we'll see. I'm hoping, but we'll see. But honestly, just like you said, just enjoying it and having a good time, feeling thankful that I'm able-bodied, able to do this despite like experiencing Crohn's and stuff. But that will definitely be on my mind all day Sunday.
What are you most looking forward to after the race, in addition to the Eaton Park cookie?
Ooh, lunch. Yeah, I went to Bakery Square for lunch last year, so I'm looking forward to a nice lunch. Hopefully some salmon. Love my salmon. And then just like sleeping. I think I slept for 15 hours after walking it last year. So that's my only plans for Sunday. What about you?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I got a Permane sandwich last year, and that was life-saving. We'll see how my stomach feels this year,
Yeah.
'cause sometimes, I don't know, sometimes it just feels a little funky, but would love that again. And yeah, just super excited to cheer on both you, and I know so many people that are either running the half or the full. I know a couple of people doing the full, so I'm so excited to just see them come in and cross the finish line. But it's been so exciting for me to watch you start out on this journey and to train for it and to put so much time and energy into it. I mean, it's not an easy thing to start running. So I know that you're going to crush it. You're going to have so much fun. Those Pittsburgh crowds and hopefully some Taylor Swift themed signs. They're going to pull you through.
I hope so. Yeah, thanks. I'm so glad we've been able to go out and train together, and I'm very glad that you run my pace despite it being slower whenever we go out. So huge shout out to Quincey for being great with training and everything, and very excited for Sunday.
Thanks for joining. If you enjoyed this week's episode, share the podcast to help keep Western PA locally informed with insightful discussion and the latest news from your area. It's an easy way to spread the word, and it helps our podcast reach more people like you. Don't forget to follow us on Spotify and turn on episode notifications so you never miss new content. Once again, I'm Zach Gibson, and this is From the Newsroom.